there is opportunity in the market, but let's embrace this because, I mean, looking forward, it is not taking a back, right? AI will not turn back. It will evolve. It will going to be a part of our lives going forward. So let's embrace with a positive mindset, with a growth mindset, and learn it. It is a type of artificial intelligence, right? I mean, in a further slide, we will be breaking down what all comes under the artificial intelligence umbrella. But focus on this type generative, this type of artificial intelligence, such as text, images, and videos, right? So, I mean, I take a lot of sessions or talk to industry experts. So I get this very off question very often that, hey, Divij, how you can call it as the original content, right? So when we say that these models has been trained on everything that is present on internet, all the data that is there, so how we should call it as original content, right? So the notion here is just take your learning. Imagine how does human learn, right? You will be correlating with human intelligence and the artificial intelligence. So if, for example, I need to give any lecture on the topic that I never studied back, right? Let's say something in chemical engineering. So I will be the one who will be going to the internet, watching videos, reading a lot of resources, and then becoming myself efficient in that subject and delivering something out of it, right? So I have learned something from the internet, learned something from the books, but the knowledge that I am now using, it's my own. The creativity I can use of it's my own, right? Same way, AI model has learned everything that is present on the internet, but it is capable enough to generate new form of text, images, and videos that we are witnessing right now in 2025. So that is the Gen AI, and lot of use cases, right? I mean, this slide we cannot fit in every industry vertical here, right? But you can imagine that take any particular niche and AI is making a dent in that industry vertical. You take any niche, let's say manufacturing, right? So manufacturing is also getting a dent of AI by witnessing the lot of computer vision applications where the process, right, the conveyor belt or the process of any product quality is being checked by AI right now, right? There is no physical person who is testing the quality of that product. There are smart AI cameras, visions available to detect anything happening right or wrong. Right. So these are just few examples. We can think about it. It is taking all industry, taking all the industry verticals and making a huge dent, right? So we'll be looking on few examples in today's session, majorly focusing on the how we can make our brands in AI, right? How we can effectively do the generation of these AI videos and all in the upcoming session. So just stay tuned about it. Okay, so this slide talks about, right, and a lot of people, I tell you, have questions around this. I get a lot of doubts, lot of DMs on this. I want to start my journey in AI. Should I go about learning machine learning, deep learning, and what all other subjects, right? So let me break down this particular slide in a very simple manner for every one of you, right? So that this question is no brainer for you going forward. So imagine your daily routine, right? So what you can do is right now, I'll do a very quick exercise with every one of you present here. So just imagine your daily routine, right? What kind of a data we human produce. So the first thing, let's say you wake up in the morning, you speak to someone, your friend, your parents, anyone, right, whom you're living with. So that is speech. That is one way of communication or getting the information. Second, I read a lot of text. I read a lot of blogs, newspaper. I generate a lot of text by writing these blogs on social media, let's say on LinkedIn. So the second form of unstructured data that human produce is the text, right? The third and the last one, I think most of you can guess now, it's an image or video, right? So I can get the same information from an image or video, and we categorize both of these into same bucket because they are essentially the same thing, right? So videos are nothing but my images rendered multiple images in a second. That's why the term you have heard 60 frames per second. That means 60 images are seen in a second, and that how the eye a human eye is visualizing a video, right? Essentially, it's a image. So these are my all three data structure: images, text, and audio, for which I have these subjects to process the information out. And we have, let's say, machine learning and deep learning for such models, right? And machine learning, essentially, when I was learning all these subjects in back in my master's, right, in 2018 and 20. So it was very dominated all across industries, and we have built manually all these machine learning models and deep learning models as well. And the underlying thing is we have to be learning programming language, which is Python, to build these models, right? But now that has been fundamentally shifted towards the AI, which is large language models, where I do not need a programming language such as Python or any other to operate with these models, right? It has essentially changed the game from programming to a prompting, which is nothing but your English instruction that I can give to a large language model, and my work is done, right? So it has shifted that gap or narrowed down that gap of creation of these models, right? All of this was possible earlier as well, right? If I want to build sentiment classification, if I want to build, let's say, image classification, everything was already happening. But all of that was very extensive and only restricted for a person who knows programming. But now it's a level field. You come, ask LLM to do that, and it is done for you, right? So to break down in the this slide particularly, for the people who wants to be on the tech side of building these models, right, building a lot of application on the tech side that they want these models to be consumed. So it's a good to get yourself equipped with machine learning and deep learning as a starting point. But for the people who wants to use AI, right, to make yourself productive, to make small apps, to integrate AI in terms of workflows in your scenario, then you don't need to have particularly knowledge of these subjects or learn programming. So that's a fundamental slide I would be, I mean, breaking this down. And that's how human on this planet converse on only on these three data points, right? Nothing else. Humans cannot interpret any other data point, and it is not there, right? So this is fundamentally what we need to understand. And LLMs are totally dominated with the text space of world, right? Only text. It understands text and generates the text. So that should be clear with this slide. And if you still need one example, right, how this LLM is fitting or these three data points are fitting, I'll give you a very quick example and you will be able to get all of that summarized, right? So imagine I am sending you a WhatsApp message, right? So I send you a WhatsApp message, 50% sale on Adidas, and it's a voice message, right? It's a voice note. So you got the information. Same message I am sending you as a text, 50% off on Adidas. You got a text message, you got the information. Or else I am sending you an image with the poster with the Adidas logo, 50% off, and you get the same information. So the same information can be conveyed through three mediums, and these are our three data points for which we have the entire AI, right? Large language models, as the name suggests, it is only specific for language related tasks, and we have a different set of models for images and videos. So with that being clear, let's understand this black box, what is going inside it, and how does ChatGPT, right? ChatGPT is one of the LLM. We have a lot of large language models. How does they understand what human is asking and how they are so good at producing the results, right? So we'll be focusing for now on the large language models, and in the level three, we'll be coming on to the videos and images part of it. Okay. So far, I think everyone is on the same page that we are inputting some text on the large language model and we are getting large language as an output, right? So what is happening at the back end, right? So how does model understands what user wants and it brings the magic out of the chat GPT. So let's decode this step by step, and it's very easy. I mean, it's a five-step process. Just take a name on your pen and paper so that it is clear. Whenever someone asks you how does LLM work, you have this five-step process with you. So I'll quickly do this prompt, right, just to show you that how it is bringing based on the context. So for example, take the same sentence. I want, can you explain me LLM as if I am 5 years old, right? I want an LLM explanation, not a technical one, but as if I have to explain a 5-year-old child, right? So it understands the context. It has given us the answer, not a technical definition, but it's a like giant talking robot friend who has read every book, story, question, fairy tales. Now, whenever you ask your robot friend something like, "Why the sky is blue? Tell me a story about flying elephant," the robot thinks really hard and gives you an answer that sounds like a smart human, right? So what is this robot? Robot is something you can call it as large language model, right? So it has given a very good explanation that I can tell a, let's say, 5-year-old child, and it can comprehend what is LLM stands for. Now, what has happened, right? How I got this output, what went at the back, let's break down into 5 steps, right? So the first step, right? First step when we take inside the large language model is to tokenization, right? We call it as tokenize or tokenization, where we break down our input sentence into tokens, right? So you can imagine I have this particular sentence going into the model. Each and every word is a token for me, right? So you can say explain, large is one token, language is one token, models is one token, and each and every word, right? So there is no meaning into the picture. It's just that we are breaking each and every word into small tokens. Why we do that? So that model understands these English vocabulary words, right? Why? Because we have limited English vocabulary words. It's not unlimited. So imagine you have an Oxford dictionary, right? So we have roughly around 1 lakh words in an English language, out of which only 30,000 are spoken in our day-to-day life or written, right? So it's a Google statistics. It's not coming via, I mean, I have not done any study. It's a Google stats, right? So all of these words have been seen by this model, and it has been broken down into small tokens, which doesn't have a meaning. But it is essentially used for the model to calculate the cost, right? All the costing of these models are based on tokens, right? Secondly, we are breaking so that model understands which word to pick from their dictionary or vocabulary, right? So model has done this for us at the back end, which is not visible. Second step, we are giving essentially a meaning to all of these tokens, right? So how does the meaning is coming into the picture? So there is something called embeddings, right? So embeddings job, like first understand what is the job of embeddings, then I'll give you an analogy for this step as well. So in embeddings, we are converting each and every token into some numerical vector, right? So when I say numerical vector, this explain is having some bunch of numbers, which can be so long, let's say 1024, 2056, but it's a very large string of numbers or this vectors, which has a meaning to it, right? So explain has a meaning with this representation. Large word has a meaning with this representation. And how does it coming into the picture? Because when we say that large language model has been trained on everything that is present on the internet, right? So it has seen all the text, it has gone through all the, I mean, stories, articles, blogs, everything. So it understands the context of each and every word for what it has been used to, right? And model has been trained, already trained, right? It is prior training, right? We what the chat GPT which we are using, it's a deployed model which has already been trained. So when the training was happening, this words was taking this vector in their picture. So I'll give you an example in terms of sentence to make it very much clear how does this context plays a very vital role here. So for example, you have two sentences. I am eating a delicious apple. I am using an Apple iPhone, right? So the word apple here, APPLE, has the same spelling but have a totally different meaning, right? So this meaning is coming from this embeddings, and both the words will be having a different vector based on the context it has been used, right? So this is via embedding model, this whose job is to convert each and every token and give a numerical representation which have some meaning to it. And there are a lot of sentence like this in our English language. So I can give you one more example to correlate. I am going to bank to open my account, right? Saving account. Second sentence, I'm sitting on a river bank and enjoying the sunset. So the bank here is used in a totally different context. And that's how the meaning plays a vital role in understanding with this embedding model as a second step. Okay, the third step on the input side, right? The model focuses on only, you can consider only important part in my input sentence and discard the rest of it, right? So that simply means there are some fillers in my sentence. For example, we just, wrote on ChatGPT. Can you explain me large language model as if I am a 5 year old, right? I have input this long sentence. But what if I input LLM 5 year old? So model will get to know that the user is asking for a large language model explanation in terms of 5 year old, right? So model has that capability to focus only on the words which are important in my input sentence. And if you want a practical, maybe I can show you, right? This is how the model has comprehended. If I go to my new chat, I will just input LLM and 5 year old. That's it. Nothing else. LLM 5 year old. So it's a new chat. So every new chat has a new context. It doesn't have the context, to your prior chats. It's a completely new window. And all right, explaining LLM model as a 5 year old. And now it has a different explanation, somewhat similar. But yeah, the words choice and everything is different. But I got my answer because model understands what the user is talking about and what parts I need to focus on. All right. So we have all the, just a quick recap. We have break down my input sentence into tokens, which is breaking down my sentences into words. Second step, introducing a meaning to it by introducing an embeddings. And now my model understand what each word is meant in our English language, right? We are talking about just English language, but we all know that it can handle all other languages, right? Major languages. But let's stick to our English language because we only know or understand the English part of it. The third step, self attention, where we focus on certain words in the input sentence and give the more weightage to it so that model understands what the user is talking about. And imagine that these three steps has happened at the back end. And now my model is coming with the output, right? So step four starts with the output. Now the model starts generating the output or the answer that we get on ChatGPT. And now, very quick exercise, right? Every one of you present on the call. So, if I have this sentence, imagine you have a super smart robot friend who has read every dash. What can all possible words that comes to your mind that can fit in this dash? Right? All possible words. Book and bank, I can see on the slide. Any other word apart from this? Source, magazine, perfect. Details, information, article, word. I think you got a gist, right? So everyone is predicting what is coming to your brain, right? Every word that is coming to your brain can be fit in this sentence. Let's have one more example for this step, and this step will automatically gets you clear, and I'll tell you how the thing is happening. So now, next sentence we have is the chef added the salt to enhance dash of the dish. Can you fill in like what all likely words can fit in? Taste, right? Flavor, aroma, perfect, quality, texture, ingredients. I can see a lot of people are now got a gist, right? What is happening here, right? All of these words are right in this particular sentence, but each and every word has some probability associated with it, right? So everything works on probability at the back end. So I have this flavor, I have texture, I have taste, all of these words. But let's say flavor got highest probability, or I would say higher probability amongst all the words. And based on the context, what the user was talking about, the best word is flavor, right? That's how you see, right? That's how you see every time you go to chat gpt, you ask the same question, you will see the choices of words become different but the meaning remains same, right? Like just now we saw that the explanation we have got has few words newer, right? New words has been introduced to our answer, but the context what we wanted 5 year old explanation was same. And that's a same step prediction which takes probability into the picture. It takes all the words which have a high chance and pick up from the top pool of words, right? And that's how the models are creative and they take the creativity into the picture. I got my output one word at a time. This is very important to understand that I am predicting one word, or let's say call it as one token at a time, right? Let's call the model lingo. Model lingo is token, right? Words and tokens are very much similar. So it is predicting one token at a time. And if I keep on repeating this step in iterative manner, right, I'll get my all entire sentence back word by word, maintaining the entire sequence of words, right? So this is how the model is generating a response for us. And I mean, it's a very easy, right? Five-step process: tokenization, embedding, transformer mechanism, which focuses on attention, then prediction, and finally response generation. Model generates the entire sentence by predicting one word at a time. Right. So this was the whole entire, I mean, part of how does it works. And now you guys tell me, right? Did you guys learn how does this Gen AI works, or was it easier to understand, right? What we are doing at the back end? Great. I can see a lot of yes. Perfect. Okay.
Folks,
Great.
Divit, just to reiterate, right? Some of you, I'm sure, by this time are like, hey, this is too technical. I'm not able to understand. Well, this is just the science behind what happens, what happens behind large language models when you use them. We will take questions, but even if you have not understood it completely, it is fine, right? Because this is not, this is for the purpose of your learning and for the purpose of your knowledge that we covered it. But great going. Kudos to all of you.
Yeah.
We are not taking a break now. We will take a break sometime later because there's a lot to cover. All right. I think
Perfect.
we can
Yeah.
move on.
And I can see a lot of people, it's going great and they are loving the pace. So let's continue that and learn the next step, right? So, very next step, after leveraging or understanding what is Gen AI, understanding what is LLM, right? So, you have understood the backend of the working of these LLMs. But again, right, like we talked about this in the starting of the session, that if you are not aware, right, how to use this AI models, how to effectively use, this is second major problem that people face in this entire AI world, right? So it's like being unaware of how to write a good prompt or write prompts in the model, you will get, I mean, garbage output, right? So it's like garbage in, garbage out. Okay. So now essential, our second step is to understand the languages of these AI models, which is nothing but our prompt engineering. And there are tons of prompting techniques, right? I mean, we have included very few of them, but there are tons of prompting techniques. Every researcher coming out with one tweak, one little tweak, and there is a new prompting technique, a research paper has been published. But, right, as said, we don't have to worry about it. If I want to give you one prompting technique that works for, I would say, 80 to 90% of your task, right? That is what Pareto principle is, right? That your one technique can solve 80 to 90% of the major problems with the AI. So we call it as, like, the one technique, magic prompt formula, right? So you can call it magic prompt formula. Some people call it as six prompt formula. So they have a lot of different names, but the effectiveness of this prompting technique is way too, I mean, impressive. Okay, so I'll show you first the output and the working of, I mean, how does this particular, if I don't use this technique and just go to ChatGPT for writing this particular task, the ChatGPT will still give me the output, but it will be the garbage output, right? So, for example, let's say I have this very small task of writing an email and inviting to my workshop, right? So, essentially, what people do, right? People generally write very small prompts, something like that. Can you write me an email for inviting my 10K subscribers to Gen Gen AI, let's say, workshop, right? So if I give this as an input, it will still give me an email and a perfect structured ones, right? But how would you rate this particular prompt, let's say out of 10, what I have just written on the chat GPT, uh, how would you rate this, right? Out of 10, let's say, what will be the one you will be giving this score? So I personally will be giving, I would say, 2 to 3. So I would like to know from the audience, like, how do you use and give it a score? Okay, I can see someone has given 8. Okay, but I can see a lot of low scores, right? 2, 1, 3. Perfect. Right. So I would say this is the example of bad prompt. This is very bad prompt. I'll tell you why. it has given me all the things, right? It has given me this is the structure and we'll be talking about this. But did I mention anything what we will be covering in the workshop, right? Did I mention that I'll be covering all this stuff? Who will be the target audience? Either it is for technical people or let's say marketing folks, HR folks, product managers, design people, nothing, right? The model is not smart enough to ask me these questions, right? So we have to be smart enough in our prompting so that model understand the entire context. So this is an example of bad prompt, and I'll give, I would say three is even more. I would give two, a score of 2 out of 10. Right, so it has not taken anything, it's just given a template, and some people think it's a perfect, it has signed it up because this model knows about me, right? I'm a data and applied scientist, so it has signed off with my names, but the entire context is not relevant what I wanted. Now, if I just show you the magic prompt formula, right? How does it work? And I'll be using it for our demo purpose here. Okay, so I'll quickly show you how does it look like and then show you the output also, right? So this is how the good prompt works like. This is the entire structure. Now let me do a demo first and then we will understand what is this magic happening and why do we call it as magic prompt formula, right? So this is how we are using this workshop. Not this one. Yes, specifically this one, right? Just a second. Yes, right. So this is now my prompt, which looks like write an email to 10K subscribers, inviting them to generative AI, right? I have given this. Focus on this line. You are an experienced email copywriter who has written for the brands like Ogilvy. Write a launch email, a new workshop at Outskill on generative AI. Write an email to the people who have signed up, right? Workshop is taken by, let's say, Webhub. Make a copy top fun resonates with who, audience with 25-year plus old. What we will be covering, right? Who is this for? It's for marketing, tech, product, design roles, workshop, and include a few reviews that we have gotten from our past masterminds, right? So this is how we have tailored our response. We have given some data if the model already has, let's say I have some attachments, right? And now see the subject, right? Gen AI is taking over. You are in watching from the sidelines, right? A hook. A hook in my email has got perfectly fit in. Then the draft of my email. Have you ever feel everyone getting crazy about chat GPT and you are just copy pasting prompt from Reddit and all, right? All, I mean, what we wanted as an output, right? It's not for just marketing, take product, it's for everyone, what you will walk away with. So all structured, right? And this is from where our data point is coming in from the data which we have selected. And I've got a very detailed email, and now I am signing it off with my team's outskill, right? So this is a very good example of how we have used a bad prompt to good prompt. And I would rate this particular prompt. And I would like to know about from you, how would you rate this prompt or this output if you see on screen compared to the previous one, right? So I would rate 9 out of 10, right? I can see a lot of good ratings coming in. So now let's understand, right, what the magic is happening, why the model understand, right? It's why we have given this. Yes, exactly. People are saying, what is this Ogilvy we have given? So understand this context now, right? So always have these four parts, or I would say, I mean, you can have more, but at least these four in your prompt, right? What extra can be there, I will tell you, but let's say these four are my compulsory things in my prompt. So you start off with something called task or role that you are an experienced email copywriter who has written for the brands, right? These are a lot of big brands, right? There are a lot of big brands in the market who writes these emails, right? Who are expert in writing. And why we are doing this? So we started off with the notion that these large language model has been trained on entire data on present on the internet, right? So it might have or it must have read articles which is published on the web, right? From these companies like Bain and Co, right? Ogilvy, right? These are a lot of good companies, top management consultant firms who are expert in customer writing, emails, and all. So they have published their blogs, right? So if I just do a Google search right now, can you give me 5 tips of writing an effective copyright email? You will get a lot of articles, right, from the internet. So essentially, we want model to focus on that particular aspect and ignore the noise, right? So we are removing the noise from the model by giving the role assignment